Namaste and welcome to the Curvy Yogini Spotlight. I am Dana, author of Yes, Yoga Has Curves, and today I have the pleasure of interviewing Nancy Taylor. Hi, Nancy.
Hi, Dana.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well. Yourself?
Great, great. Thank you so much for agreeing to be interviewed.
And thank you for asking. It's a joy.
Yes. So, Nancy, tell us, when did your yoga journey begin?
It actually started about 17 years ago. I had just graduated college with my master's degree, and I was just started to have some panic attacks about my life. And one of my girlfriends suggested trying yoga. So I tried it with her very haphazardly, off and on. And I started out gentle yoga, very gentle. I wasn't as active then as I am now. And my first memory of yoga, actually, after doing the class, was in the shower the next morning. I realized it's easier to shave my legs. It was like, oh, and I've always carried that with me through the years. It's like, I can bend easier. Okay.
Yeah. I think for me, I can attest to that. I've never been able to touch my toes, and the minute I was able to actually fold over and tie a shoe, I'm like, oh, there's something to this.
Yeah. So I practiced off and on for years. I tried different varieties, Hatha, Iyengar. I practiced a little bit. I did some workshops with Anna Forrest and Rod Stryker, but it wasn't until about a year and a half ago where I became more enamored with Bikram yoga, with hot yoga, and I've always loved it. It's the one form that's clicked with me at the moment, just the sweating and just letting go of everything.
Oh yeah.
So it's been sort of this evolutionary journey. The more I change, the more the yoga makes me go with the flow of changing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I think that's like the best thing about yoga. It grows with you because, I'm not going to practice the way that I'm practicing, say, 30 years from now, but I'll still be able to practice yoga. So I think that's a great thing about it.
Well, yeah. And I've heard so many people say that they're not flexible or they're not this or that. And I always tell them, if you can breathe, you can yoga. If you're breathing, you can yoga.
Can you say that again? Please say it again.
If you can breathe, you can yoga.
Yes, yes, yes. I mean, because sometimes what we see that's out there, it's very discouraging because they think that yoga is just about, the bendiness. But there's something that happens beyond that. It's the spirit of it all. And I think the breath, like the spirit, and everyone that's living, we're breathing. We're breathing,
Exactly. Yeah, and the more I do yoga, the more regularly, the more intensely, the more I become in touch with who I am. And the yoga gives me the ability to be who I am without me allowing other people to affect my perceptions of myself. It's when I'm calm, this yoga teaches me to be calm, and when I'm calmer, I can be myself.
Awesome, awesome. So Bikram yoga, it's a really, really it's intense sometimes, with the heat. So how do you inspire yourself to come to the mat? Those days that you're kind of on the fence. What inside or what really gets you out of the space of, do I want to do it today? But that's best for you. So where's your inspiration? What gets you from there to your mat?
I want a better life. I have a pretty amazing life now, but I want a better life. I want to create change. I want to be a better person. It's like my journey isn't about so much losing weight. It's helped, but it's about being the best person I can be. And that's what drives me all the time, because I am an emotional creature. I just, that's who I am. And so I know if I skip yoga, I've got less of a chance of being able to sort of harness those emotions in a healthy manner. So even on days where I'm like, maybe I don't really want to go, it's like I get there and I go because I'm better for going. It's leading me towards this, it's helping me create the life I want to live. And it it gives me the courage sometimes to keep going. And the Bikram I discovered at a time in my life where it was several months before my father died, and I'm coming up on the 1 year anniversary of his passing. And so that, it's helped me through that over this year. I mean, that's what keeps me going too, because it keeps me alive and it keeps me from being sort of caught up in the grief. So that's what keeps me going, is that I know that there's so much more potential out there that I can fulfill. I have to create the space to do it though, and that's what keeps me going.
I'm so sorry to hear of your loss. You know, I suffered a loss when I was first led to yoga, and it does help with the grieving process. It gives us hope. It reminds us that, we live on. We live on. And it is great. And you said that, yoga helps you to be the best that you can be. And I think, for me and for all of us who practice, it really does, whether you recognize it or not. Some people come to yoga to be more flexible, maybe even to lose weight. But if you just focus on being the best that you can be, if those things need to happen for you to be the best you are, it'll happen. And you won't have to focus on that. So, just focusing on breathing and focusing on coming to your mat for at least 10, 15 minutes a day, that can bring out the true essence of who we are. And we're all beautiful.
And that's exactly it. It brings out that it's changing how I look at the world. It's because I have my own tendencies towards judgment, but there's something about being in that yoga room where it changes my perceptions of myself, but how I look at the world around me. And it allows me to just observe and be a part of it and not be in a judgment. I mean, it's the little things too. It's like living in Los Angeles. There's all sorts of traffic and all sorts of drama, and I can let go of the little things like that. If somebody cuts me off, it's less likely to get to me now because it's not my stuff to take on.
Yeah. Awesome. So how does yoga help you to truly love and celebrate your body?
I love this question because this is where when I first started taking yoga, I would do everything I could to cover up my body. It would be like, not long pants, because I carry most of my weight in my abdomen, so I wanted to hide that. So I would wear shorts, but I would get these long tops, and I would do things that I could to sort of hide it. But one of the best benefits of doing Bikram, of doing a hot yoga, is that less is more. And so I've learned to really be able to look at myself without judging myself, without using any of the negative adjectives that I'm sure we can all imagine.
Yeah.
And if I can look at my body without judgment, see it without harshness. And I've gone from going into yoga from wearing bike shorts, a sports bra, and the longest top I could find, because if the top was long and covered my stomach, it didn't exist. So I've gone from practicing in that to practicing in bike shorts and a sports bra. And that's it. And that took a lot of courage, but once I did it, it was so freeing. It's like in that hot room, my body in the bike shorts and sports bra is no different than my girlfriend next to me, who maybe wears a size 6 and wears bikini bottoms and a string top. It's no different. And to sort of have that acknowledgement, it's completely eye-opening, and it's changed how I see myself, because it's like I'm not this body. So
Yeah.
it's removed that level of judgment.
Mhm. Mhm. It's so funny, Nancy. I remember when I first started going to the actual studio doing yoga. I used to do it at my home, just with like tapes. And I think my first class, I remember I had on these gray sweatpants and I had like on a really, really baggy shirt because it's after my daughter was born. And I felt so bothered. Like I was scared that my shirt was going to come up and I was scared that, something would fall out to the side. So my first class, I didn't get like that whole experience because I was just so concerned with keeping myself covered because everyone else in there had like little cute, tight little outfits on, the little shorts. And I knew that my body didn't look that way and I wanted to hide from it, not really knowing that, I was bringing more attention to myself, kind of fidgeting with my clothes. And then one day I just said, I want to be comfortable. I want to be cute too. And, I can wear things that reveal my skin and my bigger body. And so what? And guess what? Nobody even paid attention to it. And from there, it was just like, wow, being free doing yoga and just being comfortable is so important and being proud of your body because yoga, some of those moves can be very challenging, but it brings out this essence of, you know what, I'm here, I'm present, I can be seen, and this is for me. Even if we're in a class full of 20, 30 people, the practice is for us, and we should celebrate our bodies, and we should not be scared to be seen, to be seen.
That's exactly it. And for so long I was. And the day I started practicing in the with just the bike shorts and the sports bra, nobody gave me a second glance. It was
Right.
like I was just like, what was I so afraid about?
Right.
We all have the same stuff. It just looks
Yeah.
different for some of
Yeah.
us.
Exactly. Exactly. So, what is your favorite asana and why?
It's actually the triangle, because
Oh.
when I am in Trikonasana, or when I'm in the triangle, it really gets me to look at alignment. And one of the things that yoga's done is it's helping align me mentally, physically, and spiritually. And for me, this pose embodies all of that because it gets the nature of the pose itself, my heart, my lungs, my spine, they're all, my legs, my hips, it's all in alignment with my breath and with my life. And so I feel like the more my life is becoming aligned, the better I am at that pose. And one of the things that always sort of bothered me before I became more active in yoga is sort of walking around without an alignment, without standing tall. And so this pose for me represents the alignment of my life. And it's, when I tell people how much I love this pose, they're like, we hate that pose. We can't stand it. And I'm like, it's such an amazing posture because it exemplifies everything I'm working for.
And that's awesome. And Trikonasana, it is a very powerful pose. I mean, I think I always say everything down to the eyelashes engaged in it. But I think it's beautiful that you can draw parallels between that asana and the strength in your life and the alignment in your life. It's awesome. And that's what yoga can be. It doesn't have to be, crazy handstands, headstands, and things like that. It could just be a pose that represents where you are, where you want to go in life. And that's a beautiful correlation.
Because I've watched myself grow through doing this pose. Like when I first started it, I would sort of lean forward, and it's like sort of taking the easy way out. And now I know there's just such a a majestic look to it by holding my spine erect. And it doesn't have to be going as deep. It's not about reaching my hand to the floor. It's keeping that spine erect and sort of standing tall as I lean into the pose. So.
So asana practice, that is key to yoga, but so is meditation. What does your meditation practice look like?
I actually I meditate every day. I usually meditate for at least 20 to 30 minutes in the morning and sort of the same at night. It's my way of entering the world peacefully and offering my day back to the universe at the end of the day. And because I am, as I said before, an emotional person, it helps to quiet me down. So I tend to start, I have a little meditation room and I go there every morning and I have a chair. I've never been a floor meditator because my legs tend to get like, we want to move after 5 minutes. So it helps me to sit in a chair with my feet planted on the ground and meditate that way. It took me a long time to embrace the stillness, and you know, some days I have really good meditations where I can just dive right into the stillness, and other times it's that constant effort of all the thoughts filling my head. So that's basically how I enter meditation. I have a little end table in my meditation room, and I'll light a candle, and I try to ask the universe to sort of guide my day in a calm manner. And that's sort of my mantra in a way, just internal calmness and internal peace. And that's and sometimes during the middle of the day, if I'm having a really stressful time, I'll just take 5 minutes and stop and breathe. Even in a crowd, you can meditate in a crowd with your eyes half open. And
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. You know, we've been talking about meditation in this whole series, but as you hear it, you know, meditation, even though it's nice to have the ritual set up where it's the room, the bench, the chair, the candles, the incense, but meditation can happen anywhere in action, in the supermarket line, and it helps to reset. So you don't have to accept your day going left. You can just take a moment, a meditation break. I call it meditative moment, and get it together. So again, for those listening that are still maybe on the fence about meditation, it doesn't have to be complicated, does it?
No, not at all. I mean, it's you can be in any crowded space, and if you just stop, stand still, if you take just one breath, that can be a mini meditation. Just taking that calming breath. You can meditate anywhere. It's sometimes I've been on what I call walking meditation.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's
Wonderful,
accepting.
wonderful.
Yeah.
So, how do you take your yoga practice off the mat? You know, those wonderful things that you learn about your strength and your body and your mind and your spirit. How do you take that from the mat into the world outside?
I try to I teach. So there are many ways that I take it out off the mat, and I look at it as how I treat people, how I act throughout the day. When it comes to my students, it's listening to them. It's as a teacher, not just seeing myself as an ultimate authority figure, but seeing myself as a student too, who learns from them. When I'm interacting with people on a daily basis, whether it's a sales clerk in a store or somebody I run into in the street, greeting people with a smile, acknowledging them, allowing them to see that I see them, because so often, you know, we go through life without seeing people. So I try to make an effort to see people, to be a part of their lives. And I myself have gotten wrapped up in technology, so I'm in the process of training myself, if I'm with somebody, to be with them and not to be with my phone or to be with my electronic device, but to actually be with them. And when I'm having a conversation with them, look them in the eyes, hear what they're saying, acknowledge their existence. So those are some of the little ways that I take the yoga off the mat. The other ways that I take it off the mat are or how I treat myself. If I want to do better on the mat, and if I treat myself better off the mat, it makes my whole life healthier. Whether it's what I eat, how I treat myself, how I analyze myself. I've tended to be so hard on myself all my life. And so it's learning to be gentle, that I make mistakes, and that's okay. It's a part of growth. We all make mistakes. Instead of beating myself up, I take my yoga off the mat by saying, okay, you made a mistake. That's okay. We can move from there and let it go.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And I think the greatest thing about that is just having the awareness. Yoga helps us to be more aware, because if you think about, how many years do we spend kind of in this fog, this haze, and not really being aware of how we're relating to people, and knowing that it really starts with how we're relating to ourselves. So, as we treat ourselves more kindly and judge ourselves less, in turn, that'll happen less as we communicate and connect to other people. And just this, yoga is a wonderful practice that it just really makes you go, hello, wake up, wake
Yeah.
up, clear the fog, now live, now live. So awesome, awesome.
Yeah, because it's that fog. It's like I've tended to live or get mired in the past or things that have happened, and now I'm more prone to just letting it go. The past isn't the now, and neither is the future. The now is the now.
Oh yeah, and this is the only moment that counts right now, because it writes everything else.
Yep.
So Nancy, are you involved in any SEVA efforts, any community service?
I do. I volunteer actually at a local meditation garden. It's called the Lake Shrine. It's out in the Pacific Palisades, and what I do is several times a month I go there and I help. I'll either talk to people or I walk around the grounds as a host, and I sort of talk to them, whatever their questions are as they visit the grounds. Sometimes they have questions about meditation. So I sort of help um, foster an environment that helps people find their own inner silence while
Oh,
helping me embrace my own. It's a
awesome.
really cool thing to be able to do.
Yeah, that sounds wonderful, actually. We hear definitely a lot of efforts with taking asana out into the community, but yeah, meditation is key too, and I think that's a great, great thing to do. Um,
Especially in this area, it's Southern California. It's so crazy, so convoluted, and here's this little tiny area in the Palisades. It's sort of like this oasis in the middle of craziness, and it takes effort to keep it that oasis. So it's nice to be a part of that.
Great. So, who inspires you?
Um, so many people actually inspire me. My yoga teacher, Lauren, he inspires me. When I first started taking his classes, I was really nervous going into the studio, and he never once judged me. He never looked twice at me. He didn't I always thought people would I go mostly to his classes. I always thought people would look twice at me or look at what's this big girl doing in this hot yoga class, and he never did. And so his acceptance of me inspires me all the time because he sees me and not my body. My father um also inspired me up until the time of his passing. He had a heart disease, he had Parkinson's, he struggled, but he never stopped fighting. He was running his own business, he was driving a car. He drove a car up until just a couple of months before he passed. I mean, he never gave in to the diseases that were labeled to him. He didn't become the disease.
Mm.
He stayed his own. He stayed his own person as best as he could. And when it no longer became possible, the night before he passed, he says, it's time for it to be over. And then it was. And but his attitude toward and up until the end, that just inspires me still. And my mother's father, my grandfather, he passed in '88, but his whole life, my whole memories of him were somebody who loved everybody. It didn't matter who they were. It didn't matter what they did to anybody. He always expressed kindness and love and just embodied that. And so it's that type of love. So I think those three people, one living, two not, are what really inspire me. And there's that drive, the drive to keep going no matter what, to not be labeled, to always be loving, and to just be accepting.
Awesome. Awesome. It's so wonderful that even if someone has passed on, they continue to inspire us because words live on. And, the energy behind those words live on. So, yeah.
It is wonderful. I mean, it's as hard as my father's passing has been, I know I'm lucky because the last couple of months of his life, every time I left him, he said, I love you. And so my last memory of him is him telling me he loves me. I mean, it's hard to write a better storybook ending than that. If you can say death has a storybook ending. But.
Awesome. So, where is your yoga home? Do you have a studio? Where do you teach?
I teach college out at Northridge, which is in one direction from me, and I go to yoga in Marina Del Rey. Which is in another direction, but when I first started Bikram, my girlfriend was like, you've got to go try this studio, this instructor Lauren, he's the best, then you can try someplace closer to you. And I went to the Marina Del Rey studio, and it was one of those things where I just knew there was a connection, and I stayed with it. And it's been and continues to be this amazing journey of healing from the inside out.
Awesome. Awesome. So one more thing for me, Nancy. Can you finish this sentence? I love my curves because
they bring me kindness. They've taught me to be kinder to myself and kinder to others. And they've given me a sense of love and empathy and sympathy for myself and others that I wouldn't have had without them.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much, Nancy, for sharing your story and your inspiration. I know there are going to be a lot of people that you're going to touch, a lot of people, and I'm just blessed to speak with such inspirational women as yourself.
Well, and thank you.
Thank everyone for watching and keeping this going. I mean, this whole series, it really speaks to my heart and my soul, and I'm so blessed to be able to do it. The book is out, excited. So if you don't have it, go to yesyogahascurves.com and get your copy. And we're on Amazon, Amazon.com. It's so exciting. I'm like official. And on Facebook, Yes Yoga Has Curves. Thank you again. Have a wonderfully blessed day. Namaste.
Thank you. Namaste.
Bye.